Good morning, everyone. Today is the beginning of the last week of the anti-inflammatory series, and I am so grateful for all of your active participation in the app, sending me messages, asking questions, because just like how you grow during these series, I also grow. Being able to research something that I did not know before. So I have learned a lot too during this series. So thank you very much. So what do I plan to do? And we have some new divas today here. Welcome. What we will do today is I'm going to kind of review everything that we have done for the last 4 weeks and kind of tie in the remaining tidbits of the anti-inflammatory compounds, meaning whole grains, nuts and seeds. And then today we have a beautiful apple cinnamon quinoa breakfast bowl. And I have, things getting started here. Okay. So what do you know about, or during this series, what have you gathered about the power of anti-inflammatory foods? What have you learned?
How important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how important is it, like in everyday life, to have that intention, attention, and action aligned so that you can incorporate anti-inflammatory compounds, anti-inflammatory lifestyle pillars in a doable way in your everyday life. It doesn't have to be something that is so extreme that you can't do it. It's like simple little things that can be improved, that can be tweaked so that you can be your healthy self every single day, right? So following our structure, we'll start with a group discussion. I'll quickly take you through the lesson, a recipe demonstration, any Q&As after, and the quick quiz where everybody passes, no grades, right? And then finally you can taste the beautiful tasty bowl today and be healthy for your life. So we have been looking at the significance of inflammation and its relation to many chronic diseases. Looking at the different types of inflammation, we have been curiously exploring one at a time different inflammatory compounds and what foods provide them, and then strategies to incorporate them as part of your eating pattern, different AI lifestyle pillars. Last week, we curiously explored our sleeping pattern, and many of us share a common struggle to be able to fall asleep, or we wake up and then we feel it a little challenging to get back to sleep. So there were a lot of curious discussions happening in the app. And all through the way, what you have experienced is you have gained confidence in preparing anti-inflammatory foods and incorporating it in your daily lives. And the pictures that you post in the app say a ton about your confidence, right? And I have, something already boiling here because it's going to take some time. I'll get to it. So let's curiously check in. What is a bright spot that you want to share with regard to your lifestyle pattern this past week? One or two of you. Yes.
I did the cutting with the music as suggested in the app,
Mm-hmm.
and I really had fun. There's a radio station I didn't know about, and it has like salsa, and all kinds of upbeat music. So I went shopping and I put the little glass containers, which I never do, and we used it throughout the week. And I'm like, here, let's eat this as a snack. Here, let's cook with this. And so I incorporated a lot of vegetables this week that I normally would not do.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying is you made it fun. Plus, it was also like once you got the vegetables, the fruits, the produce in, you made that healthy choice much more easier choice by actually washing them, cutting them, and keeping it in place so that whenever you need it, it is much easier to incorporate it Yeah, absolutely. You're very welcome. Those small tidbits, right? When you find a way to implement it, it gets so easier, right? What else? One more bright spot that anyone wants to share. No, don't be shy. One more. Yes.
For sure, added a lot more legumes
Mm-hmm.
to my diet. Like after talking last week, I just had this craving for this bean salad that we make back home, and I make like a big bunch of it, and I really ate like the whole thing for the whole week. So,
And what was that called? Ensalada?
it's ensalada de granos.
Yes, yeah. So you incorporated a lot of legumes in it, and when you made a big batch of it, it was very easy for you to incorporate it without thinking, what now can I eat?
Exactly, and the thing with that I like is that if I'm hungry, like I can snack with it, or I can add it to another salad, or I can like use it as a side dish for whatever protein I'm eating.
Yeah.
So,
You can make one batch and repurpose it in different ways, basically, right? Yeah, fantastic. What, if any, challenges any of you faced? Life is not always rosy.
The sleep,
Yes.
for me, still like the winding down thing.
Winding down thing, yeah. But you develop that awareness that there is some opportunity for, and it doesn't come easy, just like how some of us shared, including me. It doesn't, but it's just like getting those reps again and again. And when you get, maybe you got the reps 2 days, but the next day, your previous behaviors will call your name. So, that'll come. You will do it one day, and then, your brain will say, oh, I'm going back to it, and kind of reorienting your new behavior again and again and again will make it feel like this is my natural now. Yeah.
Priya, on the reading at bedtime, I read with a Kindle, so I know that's an electronic, but I always have it on nighttime or whatever. Does that kind of erase the taboo on it when you have it on the lower?
Yeah, if it's on that nighttime, most of the blue light is blocked. So it will not kind of, interact with any of your sleep hormones, such as melatonin getting released and all of that. So
I'm not having trouble going to sleep.
Good.
Every time I do it, I think,
no.
but that's how I read.
Totally. And, Kindle cannot be utilized for anything else. It can only be utilized for reading, right? Nothing else. So, because, there are some of my clients who read on a phone using the Kindle app, but it's always possible to go and scroll something else, right? So, but with the Kindle, it's only reading the book. So, totally.
Well, I could do other things, but I don't.
You don't.
I really just use it as
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. If you have it on nighttime mode, it's like that black and white background usually. So it's not emitting any, any colors and any blue light that can interfere with your sleeping. Yeah, absolutely. So sleep and the awareness, the wind down routine. Anything else that anybody wants to share with regard to their challenges?
My challenge for me, as always, is sleeping, because I do. I'm like a bird. I need to have like everything like dark, but still I can't sleep. And I toss and turn, and then I wake up, and then I stand up from the bed, and then I go back to bed, and I get hot, then I get like too cold. So for me, it's still like the turning off my brain and like going to sleep at a decent hour.
Okay, so you're wanting to have very, like that routine, right? You go to sleep at a certain time and you wake up at a certain time, and also calming down your mind. So having some tools to calm down your mind and giving yourself the permission that, this is my time to rest and relax. I have done everything that I need to for the day. Now I can, rest and relax. That's a skill that you are developing, right? And you want to develop it further. Cool. So, here is the beautiful Italian sausage lentil soup, right? That one of our divas made. That's a gluten-free pasta with tomato, onion, garlic, and cane, the beans added for thickness by one of our divas here. And this is the ensalada de granos that one of our divas made here. And these are all the pictures of the beautiful food that each of you has made over this past 4 weeks. So great effort in there. And I'm so glad that I'm able to provide you that structure, simple structure and a path for you to gain that confidence as you are finding your way. And thank you for checking in with the app every day. Those lessons are very, very, very simple, and they are made to be simple and easy for you to read and learn, because we do cover a lot of information during my presentation. So the lessons are really designed to be very, very simple so that you don't get overwhelmed with a lot of information. Okay, so thank you very much for checking in through the app, and I have received lovely images from many of you on how the app is really helping you bring that get those reps every single day so that it feels very natural to you once the app kind of goes out of your life and then comes back again after a few weeks. Okay. So what did we cover in the app this past week? Of course, making that veggie bucket once a week is a constant because that gets you prepared for the upcoming week. There were lessons about sleep and bedtime routines, kind of bringing that awareness about, paying due diligence to rest, relax, and rejuvenate. Legumes, adding half cup to your meals was an action that came up there in the app this past week. It will be there this week too. Like, you will have access to the app till the upcoming Friday. So, there will still be small lessons that we'll be discussing today, and then you'll be able to track your progress there too. So what have we done so far in the interest of refreshing our brain and also to help our new divas here? We started our series discussing about inflammation, that it is an essential biochemical reaction that happens in our body whenever there is some injury. It could be an external injury or some internal imbalance that's happening. And what happens is, soldiers in the form of chemicals get sent to that injury. It could be on your skin or in any of your body parts or, anywhere in your body. Soldiers get sent to clean up that place, to repair it, rejuvenate it, and then, set it back to the previous. That's what healthy inflammation does. However, due to some underlying factors, those soldiers do not leave the place when it becomes a systemic chronic inflammation, and that's what is not health supporting. That's what you do not want in your body. So chronic inflammation, chronic systemic inflammation is something when that switch, right, the essential inflammation gets turned on, but it never gets turned off, and that's what you don't want. So we started there. We also looked at inflammation driving many of the chronic diseases, diabetes, cancer, definitely. Many of the metabolic disorders, autoimmune disorders have that chronic systemic inflammation as the underlying factor. We did discuss about some labs that you can order or ask your primary care providers to order. C-reactive protein is that very simple lab that you can ask your provider during your annual wellness checkup so that you can see, what's the inflammation level in your body. Less than 0.3 is optimal. Anywhere between 0.3 and 1 is good, right? Anything between 1 and 10 can be worked on. Anything greater than 10 really needs attention, right? So that's the 10,000 feet view of what CRP is. Of course, there are medicines that can address inflammation. However, there are a lot of lifestyle choices with positive side effects that can help you in handling the inflammation in your body, following anti-inflammatory eating pattern, life pattern, not smoking, limiting alcohol intake. We covered being active in a way that is doable and enjoyable for you, finding that good quality sleep, which is a work in progress, but at some point in time you will figure out what's that switch that is ticking it on. Managing your stress well is something that we will discuss this week, and it will come up in your app a lot more times with a lot more strategies so that you are able to handle well. This is the beautiful anti-inflammatory plate. We have discussed most of it except for whole grains and part of protein. So that's what we'll be discussing today. We spent 2 weeks in vegetables and fruits. Water is an underlying theme, kind of working on how much water you drink all through the day. And then, of course, managing your stress will be handled today. Any of the supplements, of course, always check with your healthcare professional before you take any of those supplements. Vitamin D, curcumin, omega-3s are anti-inflammatory, but always ask your provider before you have any of those, because supplements is that industry that is not regulated at all. You can put anything inside a pill and nobody questions about it. So it's always important to ask your healthcare professional and get their recommendation on brands that they believe is really, better than the gazillion ones that are outside. Okay. The first week we concentrated on omega-3s. The second and third week we concentrated on, on vegetables and fruits. There, I'm glad. Vegetables and fruits. We discussed about the different categories of vegetables, 7 categories of vegetables: cruciferous, alliums, bulb vegetables, root vegetables, stalk vegetables, leafy greens, and pods. Benefits of vegetables, we drill down into each of these benefits one each week. We started with fiber being the skeleton of plant products, just like how bones are the skeleton of human beings. Fiber is important to optimize detoxification, removing any waste from your body. It feeds the good gut microbiome so that you have a healthy gut. It also helps you feel satisfied and allows your gut to move. It promotes motility. So we discussed about 2 fiber types: soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber is something that bulks up. Insoluble fiber is indigestible and it kind of goes through your gut. We saw that the recommendation is to have 25 to 35 grams per day of fiber. And when you are mindful about including all those anti-inflammatory foods, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds as part of your eating pattern, you will be able to reach this goal without any issues, right? So removing the processed foods from your pantry, from your home environment, not looking at processed food as that go-to option, I think is the most important thing that will help you get to getting this recommendation. We looked at the variety of phytochemicals. Phytochemicals are colorful compounds that are present in fruits, vegetables, whole grains to reduce the risk of, and they are known to reduce the risk of chronic diseases. The different categories of phytochemicals, we discussed about this, the foods that have these phytochemicals, and everything that is colorful, include it in your eating pattern. We also discussed about how by combining foods, you are able to get more impact, or you are able to get more of those compounds out. For example, when you combine tomatoes with any type of fat, olive oil or avocado oil, lycopene, that anti-inflammatory compound gets more bioavailable. When you combine spinach with lemon, what gets more available? iron gets more available, right? When you mix turmeric with black pepper, curcumin is able to stay in your system for a little longer so that you get the anti-inflammatory benefits from it. When you combine any greens such as kale with eggs, vitamin D and calcium kind of work together, and they need to be in synergy for your body to get the benefit of it. When you combine sweet potatoes with any fats such as nuts, the beta carotene, vitamin A in sweet potatoes becomes more available. When you combine oatmeal with any yogurt or anything like that, the fiber and the prebiotics and the probiotics are able to be in alignment so that they give the best benefits for your body. We discussed about the pros and cons, or there is no pros and cons. There is always benefits of adding raw and cooked vegetables together. Examples about, how having raw and cooked both kind of are beneficial. Last week, we tipped our toes into the beautiful world of legumes, 16,000 varieties of legumes. No one can discuss all of it, even in the series, but they are just powerhouses of health benefits. They offer minerals, all the minerals. They are very rich in fiber, prebiotic and protein. And the recommendation is for us to have half cup serving every day so that we can accumulate at least 3 cups every week, right? And how difficult was it to incorporate half cup every day? Anybody felt like it was like going up the mountain? You did? It's not your normal usually. Yeah.
Not in our culture yet.
I see.
And I like to cook beans homemade whenever I can.
Uh-huh.
It means I
Yeah.
need to change my lifestyle more.
Yeah, so you need to remember to soak and all of that, right? Because if you have pressure cooker, even if you forget soaking, you need to pressure cook it a little longer for them to be cooked. So that's an option there. But that's right. If you like to cook raw, take the raw or dried ones and cook with them, there is some pre-preparation that's needed,
I
right?
like the process of cooking these.
Mm-hmm.
I don't own an Instant Pot, and I don't have any intention of getting that or a pressure cooker.
Uh-huh.
I like this slow cook method.
Okay.
And I'm frequently home enough hours that I put them on and set a timer to go check them every 30 minutes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But it's still getting started.
Yeah. Yeah.
More
It's
frequent. I love them.
uh-huh.
I love them.
Uh-huh.
And I love soups.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. It's that initial ignition key, right? That needs to.
I'm going to have them just several times a week to begin with, and then
Yeah.
work up to the stuff way of life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely. It's a process. It's something that you are aware of and that you want to incorporate, and that ignition key will switch on.
I grew up in a household that ate nothing but Boston baked beans.
Uh-huh.
Little navy beans were the only kind of beans that ever appeared in my mother's kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I bet the whole world has opened to me as an adult.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's a process. Definitely, it's a process. I don't know, some of us here, if I can reflect on how it gets into my eating pattern. As part of chopping the vegetables and all of that, I kind of think through, okay, at least 3 varieties of beans. If I have them, if I need to incorporate them dry, I love incorporating garbanzo beans dry. So when I'm chopping my vegetables, I'll actually, take garbanzo beans out and actually put it to soak, so that I'm doing it all in a go, so that I don't forget about it, because it's like doing it once makes it, and say if I'm incorporating 2 or 3, beans during the week, I'll take all of them at that time and soak it. And when I soak it overnight, it'll all be nicely soaked, and then I'll keep it inside the fridge. And before I cook, I'll just kind of wash it off. So, yeah. But you'll figure out your own way of incorporating it. Yeah.
I love the hints you included last week for the additives that help either make the beans more digestible
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah.
I can't think of the words.
Kombu.
Kombu. And then the other one,
Aquafaba, that is the that is the foam that gets collected on top of chickpeas, and you can use it as a baking. You can use it in place of eggs. So yeah. Yeah, and then we discussed the fantastic profile of minerals, fiber, protein that pulses, beans and legumes offer. We also hashed some myths that soy needs to be taken out of your eating pattern, which is no longer true. Soy has phytoestrogens and they are known as isoflavones. They are anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. So, soy can actually be protective rather than something to avoid in your eating pattern. We also looked at many strategies about how to include beans as part of your eating pattern, and many of you have curiously explored how to do it. So today we'll kind of look at the other food groups that I did not address, basically protein, nuts, seeds, and healthy fats. I do want to address something that I did not have time to address last week, the myth, right, which is basically tofu. Tofu is available in many forms. Silken tofu, you can incorporate it as part of smoothies, as desserts, right? There is that soft tofu, which again you can incorporate as part of smoothies, dips, any desserts you want to make. The firm and the extra firm tofu are forms of tofu that you can use as to bake, to roast, as part of your eating pattern. Anybody here uses firm tofu or extra firm tofu? How do you incorporate it?
I release most of the water,
Uh-huh.
and then I marinate and pan fry it.
Yeah. So the firm and the extra firm tofu do have some water. So putting them inside, underneath a very heavy pot will help take out the extra water, and then season it in a way that feels in alignment with what you do, and then you can either put it on a skillet and cook both sides, and it gets nicely browned. And for those who eat meat, you will not miss meat when you do it that way. Tempeh is another form of less processed tofu. You will, if you ever have used tempeh, you will see the soybean still there, right? So tempeh is another form of tofu. What happens when you sprout beans? Anyone here experimented with sprouting beans?
They look like little roots.
Yes, they look like little roots. They when you sprout beans, it kind of makes it more digestible. It increases all the minerals. They become more bioavailable, and then it also increases the protein content of it. And sprouting beans is pretty simple, but it does require some pre-prep, or that pre-thinking and preparation. And it's all about that's the one-on-one on how to sprout beans. It just involves covering the bean with water and soaking it for 8 to 12 hours. So if you remember it as part of your bedtime routine, if you want to soak some beans, you can soak it, and next day morning it will be very it'll be very it's no longer dry. You can actually pinch into it a little hard, and it will become a little smushy, and then you rinse well and then keep it in a closed container. I have never bought a sprouting jar, but it looks something like this, and you can actually put it inside it and close it, and you will see that in a day or so, or in a day and a half, there will be small roots that come out of it, right? And you can either eat them raw, or kind of saute it with some oil and some spices, so they turn really yummy.
What beans do you recommend?
I use mung beans, the whole green beans that you mentioned, garbanzo beans, dry one. Yeah, those are my common ones. Any other beans that any of my divas here have ever tried sprouting?
I use the lentils, but Indian one.
Oh, okay.
Horse gram, they call it.
Oh, okay. Horse
It's
gram.
very rich in iron.
Yes, yes, yes. There is a horse gram. I have not sprouted it. I need to. Yeah, that's a good idea. But the general ones are the whole mung bean, which is the green one, and garbanzo beans, and they turn very, very delicious. The texture gets, very, very mush. I don't know. It's very pliable, and when you,
It's sweetish when you.
yes, when you bite it, right?
How
So.
long do you think you should, does it take?
It takes, you mean how long does it take for the roots to come out? When I keep it under, closed and all of that, a day, by the end of the day, 8 to 9 hours, it'll start. You will see the roots coming out. Oh my goodness, it's such a joy to see it. And if you're able to keep it overnight, then it really kind of grows
It
out.
needs to be in a warm place to sprout. So you cover it up completely and you can put it in your window where there's sunlight or above your oven or someplace.
Yeah. Yeah. So AI and Mediterranean. For all these weeks, I have, we have discussed vegetables, right? Fruits, vegetables, grains we have not touched on, so we will touch on that today. Beans, we have got into that. Nuts, we have not. Yes, a little bit in as part of omega-3. Legumes, yes. Herbs and spices, we have been including it very generously, at least in our cooking demo. I am sure from all the foods that you have shared, you have been incorporating those herbs and spices too. We will quickly peek into fish and seafood, a little bit of, animal protein today. Poultry, eggs, cheese, yogurt, those are all part of, anti-inflammatory eating pattern, but you can see that they are tip of the iceberg. They are not, bottom of the iceberg, right? So knowing that those are, what do they say, flavorings rather than the main dish is the idea in there. So animal protein, they come in lot of varieties: eggs, seafood, red meat, poultry, game meats. Seafood is that category of animal protein that has a lot of omega-3. It has lean protein, right? So we will look at that. Red meat, having it once a week and kind of, if you want to have it once a week and not have it as a regular protein source as part of your eating pattern, because research shows that red meat can influence, cancer-related biochemical reactions in your body, okay? Let's move ahead. Game meats are bison, ducks, rabbits, very lean meat that are available as a delicacy. What are some nutritional benefits of protein? It provides satiety. It's involved in making everything in your body: enzymes, protein, your muscles, your cells. It's very important for any repair, growth. It builds the antibodies, the soldiers who come to kind of, clear up your place of injury or your place of inflammation. It also plays a big role in maintaining electrolytes and fluid balance, and it transports and stores many nutrients in our body. So incorporating protein in each of your meal is very key so that you are able to get the strength that you need, right? Your enzymes and your hormones are able to do the work that they are supposed to do. Animal protein also provides you heme iron, which is more readily absorbed. That doesn't mean that non-heme iron is any lesser than heme iron. But when you're having plant-based iron, what do you need to add to it to make it more available? Lemon or vitamin C. Anything that has that vitamin C, when you add with it, you're able to absorb that iron and make it more available for your body. Now, AICR, which is the American Institute of Cancer Research, encourages that, we include 1/3 or less. If you see here, the seafood is only a teeny weeny part of the plate. Remaining is what? Colorful, right? Colorful plant based food, right? So having that 1/3 of your plate, that animal protein is recommended. Around 5 ounce equivalents per day of protein is what dietary guidelines for Americans recommend, and this includes seafood, lean meats, poultry, eggs, legumes, nuts, seeds, soy, right? So you have a wide variety of foods that have protein available as part of their makeup. What are some categories of seafood? There is freshwater seafood, saltwater seafoods. Some examples are up there. Crustaceans, mollusks, yeah, you got it. That's the other variety of, seafood. Examples are up there: shrimp, prawn, crab, lobster, clams, oysters. I know some of those are not usually had. You need to just be aware that, there are some seafood that are high in mercury, basically those that are at the top of the seafood chain. The big fishes that eat the smaller fishes, those have higher amount of mercury. So don't have them as part of your eating pattern. What are some health benefits of seafood? They have low saturated fat, very high in omega-3. Omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. So having it as part of your weekly routine, having fatty fish twice or thrice in a week is fantastic. It's a very good source of vitamin D and, of course, the gamut of, other vitamins and minerals that they offer. As I mentioned, recommended amount is 3 ounce 2 to 3 times per week, aggregating to around 8 ounce of seafood per week. And the environmental working group has this very easy way of finding out, what are the best sources of seafood. Basically, salmon, sardines, trout, mackerel, and mussels are the most recommended ones. They have very high omega-3, very low mercury, and they are sustainably grown or, sustainably sourced. Good choices which are high in omega-3 and low in mercury are oysters, pollock, and herring. And it's very important that, you avoid these big fishes because mercury levels are high and they are too high to consume and be healthy. Okay. So whole grains, that's the topic for today. That's one of the topics for today. And our demo today is actually based on whole grain, which is quinoa. Who here doesn't love quinoa? Everyone loves, right? They are this beautiful little pseudo grain. It's a grain. It's also a seed. So it's sometimes called a pseudo whole grain, and it's that plant protein that has all the essential amino acids. It's when you compare meat with quinoa, there is nothing that quinoa is missing. Quinoa actually has something that meat doesn't have. What is that? Fiber. Yeah, quinoa has the fiber. It has complete protein profile. So including it as a good source of whole grain is something that you can explore and get better at. So what I have done here is I have around 2 cups of liquid. I mixed 1 cup of water with 1 cup of almond milk, basically any plant milk that you would love. I did soak my quinoa. So when you soak your quinoa for around 6 hours, meaning when I woke up at night at 12 o'clock, which I typically do, even if I go to bed at 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock is like the switch, So I had already put quinoa in a small bowl. I just filled up with water at night. And you can see that there is some small sprouts out of it. Do you see it? There is small, white colored root coming out of it. So it has sprouted. That makes it easily cookable too. cookable is a word for me, but it makes it, it makes it, it speeds up the cooking process, okay? So this is 1 cup of quinoa that is sprouted. So I have 2 cups of liquid here, and I'm just going to put it inside the water or the liquid in here. And allow it to cook as we get through the remaining of. What is a whole grain? What is a whole grain? Yes. And what does it have? When it gets processed, what is removed from it? Fiber. The outer part of any grain has that bran, which is the fiber, that is removed, and there is a germ in that grain, which has healthy fats, which has vitamins and antioxidants, that is removed as well. So a whole grain has that bran. The endosperm is that inner covering, and that's the starch. And the most inside part of the grain is that germ, which is, which has some healthy fat, some, vitamins, some minerals. That's what actually helps that grain to grow in some way. Like if you plant a rice seed, I'm reminded about the farm back in my hometown. When you plant a rice seed, that's the germ that actually nourishes the plant. Okay, so that germ and that bran is removed, and I'm going to just put this in, and I don't want to even waste a single grain. I'm not OCD, but I don't want to waste a single grain. So what happens when the grain gets processed is, that bran is removed, the germ is removed, and what is left is just that endosperm, which is the starch, right? So when fiber is removed, what happens? The starch becomes the main component in there, and starch is known to spike up your blood glucose level. So when you have any refined grains, be mindful that you incorporate some protein, some healthy fats, some fiber in the form of vegetables and fruits, so that it doesn't spike up your blood glucose levels. I come from a white rice culture. I do love white rice. I'm not, discounting that at all. But when I have white rice, I make sure that I fill up my plate with lot more veggies so that I'm able to enjoy that white rice and still keep my blood glucose levels in a nice place, okay? So whenever I'm putting some cinnamon into it, since it's 1 cup, I have twice the amount of cinnamon. I'm going to give it a stir. And technically, I'll close it so that I can remember that it's going to get done. I'm going to close it for 5 minutes and open it up because I have sprouted it. It usually takes around 10 to 15 minutes for the quinoa to get done. Okay, so I am going to let that cook as we get through the remaining. So what are some examples of whole grains? Brown rice, amaranth, barley, buckwheat, bulgur, farro, millets. There are no variety of millets available. Oats, something you can include every day. Quinoa that we are doing today. Sorghum, whole wheat, those are all whole grains. So always look for the word whole if you are buying, anything in a packet, right? It could be pasta or it could be bread. Look for whole in it. Don't look for multi or, anything else in it, right? More examples of whole grains. Those are all whole. I have put a star against some of the grains, and those are gluten free. So millet, quinoa is gluten free. Brown rice is gluten free. Wild rice, I saw one of the divas do dirty rice. Yeah, dirty rice. Those are all gluten free. These are minimally processed, meaning that, they are not whole grains, right? But of course, it's not that you should not include it in your eating pattern. When you include it, make sure that you are having extra vegetables in your plate. Couscous cooks very quickly. So on those days when time is of essence, I do use couscous and it cooks a little bit quickly, but I will make sure I add an extra cup of vegetables as part of my eating pattern. What are some grains that you guys usually use? Quinoa. Mm-hmm. Couscous, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
With spinach and cherry tomatoes, a bit of olive oil, lemon,
Mm-hmm.
and feta cheese.
Yes, of course.
Love that.
Oh, yeah, totally. Cheese has a place. It does have a place. There is no need to run away from cheese or, any of those. What else? What are some other curious or wonderful recipes that you guys use with whole grains? How do you cook your quinoa? How do you use it?
I just add it to everything that I eat.
Okay. Yeah.
I pop popcorn with nothing on it.
Uh-huh.
Just plain popcorn.
Yeah. Plain popcorn. And do you use it inside a microwave or? Okay, nice. What else? How do you incorporate whole grain as part of your eating pattern?
We've been buying the grainberry cereals,
Mm-hmm.
which they make a bran and an oat,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all made with sorghum, which I had never eaten before. But I really like them. I don't have any. I can't tell the difference between the sorghum-based bran grainberry and bran flake. I really like bran. Fiber.
What is the brand that you mentioned?
Grainberry.
Grainberry.
They very pronouncedly note that they're made with sorghum,
Ah.
which is one of the whole grains
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
many of us have probably never had. I never had.
Mm-hmm. It's a very hard grain. It cooks for longer time. So when they have, mentioned it in there, I wonder, I'm going to buy it. Grainberry, isn't it? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And my husband now has switched to the grainberry toasted oats variety. He likes it better than the bran.
Oh.
I like the bran.
Yeah.
I put my own raisins
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
But, anyway,
Mhm.
but he is a convert to the sorghum cereal.
Mm-hmm.
HEB carries them. There's just the 3 brands and there's just 3 facings. So you may have to look the first time, and once you find out where it is, hopefully they don't reset the store. Who's trying this? They do it all the time.
So,
These grains are available as puffed varieties. So amaranth, millet,
sorghum.
and brown rice they're available as puffed. So like popcorn. So you can just saute it with a little bit of olive oil and add some herbs and seasoning and eat it.
What Indian store do you recommend?
I mean,
Alibaba has it.
Alibaba on Goose Park next to Pasha restaurant.
And there is another one at Babcock and Evers, Desi Brothers. That's also,
Desi Brothers on Eckert.
yeah.
Also, Trader Joe's, they have these a package that they have like Israeli couscous,
Mhm.
quinoa, the garbanzo beans, and also it's called ancient grains or something. It's something with grains. So
Uh-huh.
you cook that together, like if you were going to cook quinoa, and I go with a little bit of a chicken broth, then you can like whatever you want. Like if it was quinoa, you can make it as a salad. You can make it as the side dish.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Because
So the Asian grains and cook it with chicken and, put in vegetables and all of that so that, you get everything of that, right? So what health benefits do whole grains provide? A lot. They have fiber, both the soluble and insoluble varieties. B vitamins, all the B vitamins are plentiful in whole grains. Minerals, magnesium, iron, zinc and copper. Antioxidants are plentiful in whole grains, and there are definitely polyphenols, stenols and sterols too available. The last part that I want to explore a little bit, not a lot here, are seeds, nuts, and they do have healthy fats. Seeds are where life begins, which means there is plenty of, yes, good nutrition inside seeds and nuts. This is just, a pictorial representation of what a seed is. You don't have to, worry about what each of those are, but the idea is they are very nutrient dense because that's where a plant starts growing. So it has everything to provide that plant to grow really healthy, and they are really packed with all the nutrients. They do have protein, fiber, antioxidants, minerals and vitamins. And seeds, different types of seeds. Flax seeds have fiber, protein, potassium, omega-3s. Remember in our first class, we discussed about including flax. Pumpkin seeds, they are available as toppings behind. They are again, pumpkin seeds. Quarter cup of pumpkin seed has around 5 to 8 grams of fiber and protein too. Very nice snack to snack on and crunch on during the day. Hemp seeds, again, they have lot of protein, vitamin E, potassium and all the omegas. It's available as a topping for you there as you enjoy the quinoa breakfast bowl. Chia seeds, again, very high. They are soaked and available for you to put as topping in your breakfast bowl. And sesame seeds are very high in calcium. Of course, sesame is one of those allergens. Doesn't sit well with some people, but sesame seeds, do have lot of calcium. So something to incorporate if you love the flavor and, if you are okay with having sesame seeds. Nuts are fruits that have, hard external shell, and nut nutrition. Oh my goodness, it is cardioprotective. It helps in reducing the risk for high blood pressure. It reduces high blood pressure. So having 1 ounce of nut every day can be something that you incorporate. It is definitely anti-inflammatory if you put a check mark, when you are incorporating nuts. Different varieties of nuts, walnuts, pistachios, macadamia, hazelnuts, anything and everything that you can enjoy. You can enjoy it in variety of ways, starting from nut butters to salted, to roasted, to raw, flour or meal, almond meal. Any nut can be actually grinded and you can make a meal out of it. Milk, plant-based nut milk are very, very common. So I think this is ready for you to quiz for today. What is your key learning in the AI series? Anything?
Eat more vegetables.
Eat more vegetables.
And your variety of colors.
Yes, and vegetables at least twice a day, right? Make it a very, very, very purposeful, intentional choice in your day, wherever you go to. Even if you go and eat out at a restaurant, always ask for that extra veggies, right?
Eat the rainbow.
Yes, eat the rainbow, exactly. What were you able to implement so far in your lifestyle pattern?
Fresh vegetables.
And you made it very, easily available too, right, for you, so that the healthy choice becomes the easy choice. And what helped with implementation? What helped with that? Let me just mix it in. Thank you. The reminder?
The app and just having access.
Yeah. So those reminders do help, because that's how our brain works. And when those reminders have been practiced enough number of times, it becomes part and parcel of your DNA, right? And that's how we learn new habits. I put in Granny Smith apple in here, just to give that sweet and tart, and they were freshly cut this morning, and I did squeeze a little bit of lemon on top, just to make sure that it doesn't brown, and it also gives that nice flavor.
It also helps with cleaning out your pantry and not bring certain foods into your house.
Yes.
Especially when you don't have children.
It's that weekly intentional, looking in your... Thank you. Yeah, great. Thank you. It's a heavy and it's hot.
Yeah, but I just don't allow. We eat at home. My husband's like, "Do you want to go?" I'm like, "No, we're eating at home. I have already said."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I hope the implementation made your life better, because information without implementation is clutter. So whatever you have been able to implement, tweak it, get better at it, the remaining information can actually go away for now. And when you come back again for another nutrition series, you can work on the remaining. Okay? And this is what we have been trying to implement. Each of us, you have been trying to implement in this series. And actions for this week are: everything remains. You will be adding a stress relieving tool to your daily practices, and there will be small strategies that will pop up in the app, but do what resonates with you. It could be reading, it could be journaling, it could be listening to nice soothing voice, but doing that rinsing of or brushing of your brain and your thoughts, just like how you brush your teeth every day to remove anything that is sticking on in there, is a practice that you can build in a way that is doable for you. It could be a minute of work every day, either in the morning or, sometime during the day or at the end of the day. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. Choose what is working for you, right? And thank you for your time and commitment to your own health. I have thoroughly enjoyed actually crafting and designing this series in a totally different way. And I really appreciate your participation, your attention, and your inputs as I make this better, better, and better. Thank you very much. Thank you.